Welcome. I'm Bernice Ross, the CEO and president of BrokerageUpandRealEstateCoach.com.
My name is Greg McDaniel. I'm the co-host and co-founder of the wildly famous and fantastically popular podcast, Real Estate Uncensored. But today, Bernice and I together are Real Estate Coach Uncensored.
Well, Greg, we have a great show for our viewers today. It's called 7 Words to Avoid When Negotiating. You know, have you ever been in a negotiation and everything just kind of went wrong and you couldn't figure out what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, there are thousands of reasons deals go wrong, but today we're going to look at 7 very kind of innocuous, simple words that can actually make your deals fall apart when you're negotiating. And they're real subtle and they're words you use all the time. That's what makes it so difficult. So you may be surprised, but we're going to talk about when you use these words, it can undermine your negotiation. It can make you sound weak. It can make you sound unsure of yourself. It can undermine your self-confidence. So let's begin with the first one, but. Greg, what about but?
It's not a powerful word, right? And it negates everything you just said. So if I say, Bernice, you know what? I know you want to get 300,000, but I found the comps to only be 275. So everything that you wanted, I just took away.
A great way of putting this is to say you just made your client wrong.
Yes.
You know, when like Greg said, okay, the comps show your house is worth 275,000, but you want 300. Well, you say it's worth 300, but I make myself right. I made you wrong. So what you can say is, I appreciate that you believe your house is worth 300,000 and the comparable sales show it's worth 275. Would you mind sharing how you arrived at that number? And is there another comparable sale or something that I've missed that would change the price? Now, the power of doing that is you're opening up a discussion for, and I've done this with sellers, and sometimes they've had a comp or two that I didn't know about because they hadn't showed up yet, and yet they talked to the neighbors in their house that got XYZ. Now, Greg, you have another one that works really well in this situation, to avoid using but. What do you do for that?
I use the word however, and I say, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I know that you're looking to be getting, the 300,000. However, when I've been looking at the comps, I found it to be about 275. And you know what? I'm only human, and I may have missed 1 or 2 out there that I didn't see. Is there some comp that you can provide to me that I can justify that 300,000? And I'm not saying that you don't have them or your home's not worth it. All I'm saying is that when I'm asked to provide a comp to the buying agent that can justify our price, I want to come out with all the ammunition I can to get you guys the highest price. So would you be able to provide that to me?
Yeah, this is again really powerful. And again, we use but all the time. Get in the habit of using and or however. Okay, our second word is can't, and can't is ambiguous. So how many times have you heard, certainly for me as a trainer, I've heard people say, oh, I can't go door knocking. But the question is, are you physically unable to go door knocking? If it's 107 degrees here in Austin, yes, absolutely. Is it illegal? Yes, it is in certain places. Or is it, I don't want to go door knocking? It's my case, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I hear it all the time from agents. They say, oh, I can't go door knocking. And I'm like you, Bernice, I ask them, why not? And they give me some off the wall idea of why they couldn't do it. And I say, okay, so what you're telling me here is that your both legs are broken. It's 200 degrees outside and everybody hates you. That's what you're telling me, right? That's why you can't do this. Well, no, I'm fine. Okay, so why can't you? And they'll sit there and they'll think about it and they'll say exactly like you just said, Bernice. They'll say, well, I just don't want to. I'm like, why didn't you say that in the beginning? Okay, let's figure out another game plan. But can't is so powerful, and you can take it out of your day-to-day verbiage and substitute with I can, but I don't choose to.
And that is so important because the word choice is one of the most important words that you use to negotiate with. In fact, I train all the time, for doing most seller and buyer scripts. I train, it's your choice. What would you like to do? It's giving them their choice. And again, owning it. I prefer not to ask why because it puts people on the defensive, but what's getting in the way, or what is preventing you from doing this? Well, again, getting that down to what's stopping them. I love that Henry Ford quote that says, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
And you know what, Bernice, that's totally true. Personal little story for me this morning. I woke up and we're here in Northern California. We have really bad fires burning. The air quality is horrible. And I look out my window and I say to myself, I can't go running today. And then I turned it around and I said, yes, I can. And so I put on my shoes and I said, you know what? I'm going to go for a little 2.5 mile run, not a big run. I can totally do this. Well, guess what? 4+ miles later and 200+ push-ups later, I came back and guess what? I'm still here. So the word can't holds no value. It's the fact that I can and I choose not to, or I choose to.
Yeah, I would probably make a different choice.
Hey,
I know if I know when it comes to running 4 miles, no, I would choose not to do that. And I might not be able to do it actually. I can walk 3.5, no problem. I probably walk 5 or 6, but the run, nah. So, rather than being ambiguous by using can't when you're negotiating, lay out options and choices. So when you have a buyer and they were real nitpick, their inspector was Mr. Nitpicker and just came up with all this, stuff a bunch of stuff that's preventative, little nitty, stupid things or things that are not even realistic. And they say, your buyer say, I want everything. Instead of telling them that they can't have that, a different approach is to say, open up some other possibilities. What are the most important items that you would like repaired from this report? So put them in rank order. What are the most important things so that we know what matters most to you? Because what they're doing now, I've got them instead of thinking of everything, they're thinking about putting them into what matters most. Or, sometimes we find sellers would prefer to give you a dollar amount for all the repairs. If they were to happen to offer a credit, what number would you be willing to consider? So what I'm doing now is creating a couple of different negotiation options, but getting them off the idea that they're going to get everything done.
yeah, that's a fantastic idea. One of the techniques that we do, we dovetail with that very closely. I set it up from the very beginning, and I let people know this is what to expect during the repairs negotiation time frame of the contract. And I say, look, guys, I know we want everything done. I've never found a perfect house in my entire life, over 21 years. So this is what's been a very successful strategy for us. And I say, I want you guys to go in there and pick out the health and safety issues. So if we got leaky pipes, exposed wires, a hole in the roof, we got a foundation issue, something that's going to negatively impact you and your family, that's the stuff we should go after, because in California, it's an as-is contract. So they don't have to give you anything that you ask for. So let's play to the hearts and souls. Let's ask for something for your kids to be safe, your husband, your wife, your spouse, your significant other to be safe, and go after that. Almost 10 out of 10 times that strategy has worked. And the reason why is because the other agent and the seller can't rationally defend an action to say, I'm not going to cover up those exposed wires. If the kid wants to touch them, that's on them. No. They're going, you know what? I wouldn't want my kids to have exposed wires, and I don't want this family to be in harm's way. Of course, we'll deal with this. Mm-hmm. And that's how we have worked it on our team. And it's a powerful negotiating tip.
Yeah, the as is unusual in most states. And again, even and we had as is provisions in our contract, and everybody negotiated repairs anyway. You don't, if you don't ask, you don't get. I mean, the worst you're going to hear is no.
That's true. And there's a lot of power in that word no, but if you take the power away from it and you're just like, okay, well, that's our answer. We'll move forward. We're going to buy the house.
Okay, our next word is hope, and hope makes you sound weak and wishy-washy. I hope we can get your house sold as quickly as possible. Now, Greg, your dad has a great script that I just love. What does he recommend?
So after we get the paperwork signed, and keep in mind, he's wearing a Costco plaid shirt, his JCPenney, khaki pants, which he absolutely loves, but he gets rapport with people like you've never seen before. Okay. And he'll sit there, say, all right, Bernice, this is what I'm going to go do. I'm going to go and put my battle armor on, and I'm going to go to war for you. We're going to go out there and find the best buyer with the best terms at the highest price. Is that okay? Yes, Greg, that's okay. Okay. We're going to go to battle for you. If you need me, let me know. We'll go, and we'll handle anything on your side. And the people there, what they realize in their brains is that you don't have someone that's going to hope and kind of wish things were going to go well. You know, there's someone taking massive action and being a leader. When we list a home or we work with a buyer, you have to step up to the plate and be the leader. You cannot be the follower. You've got to lead with purpose, power, and just joy and light, and just bring the best possible experience to them. And that's what that little phrase, I'm going to put my battle armor and go to war for you, to get the best possible price, terms, and buyer. And people are like, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, they want someone who's going to fight for them. They want
Yes.
someone who's a good negotiator. And when you use that language, that's saying, I'm going to go to battle for you. I've got your back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out there protecting you, doing the best I can to get you the best price and the best experience. Okay, now there's another word that makes you sound weak and less confident. That's the word if.
Hmm.
And, so, I mean, how many times have you've had a really low offer and you said, your offer is so low, I don't even think the sellers will consider it.
Yeah.
Well, and then just kind of, pyramiding on what Greg's dad suggests. So even though you're making a low offer, I'm absolutely going to go to battle to, see if I can persuade them to take it. So using the battle analogy is very powerful, or I'm going to do everything I can to persuade them to take it. Again, you may know it's low, but your job is to advocate for your client.
Right. And is substitute the word if for when. Again, that's showing more power, right? It's not like, well, shoot, man, if we get an offer, I don't know what we're going to do. It's like, when we get an offer, this is how this is going to operate. This is how the steps are going to take, and this is what's going to take place. And you don't have to take it, but you might want to take it. So when we get one, we're going to take this together as a team. Does that sound fair?
Greg, that's a huge takeaway. Let's go on to our next word. And I'm going to combine a couple words here, no and not. Now, just to lead off here, there are times when you need to say no.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody asks you to do something that's illegal, unethical, that is against how you practice your business. Even if it is legal, it's not who you are and you don't want to represent them. Say no. Refer them to someone else or walk away from it. But, there are times you need to say no. One of the things I've always been fascinated by in terms of the Ritz-Carlton level of service, in addition to not telling clients no, is their very strong culture and ethic that says we are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And Greg, you pointed out something very interesting because you talked about what this looks like when a seller hires us. We are actually going into an employee relationship, or a buyer for that matter. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that? Because I think this is a really important takeaway for us.
It'd be my pleasure. One of the things that we've always operated with on our team is a mindset of service, and we bless and prosper before receiving. And so one of the things that we need to do when you go into employee and employer relationship, and that's what we are, guys. We are literally signing a contract to provide a service to get paid for. That's literally what a listing agreement is. And so when you shift your mindset saying, like, this is my new boss, Bernice, I'm selling her house at 123 Main Street. She is now my boss for the next 20, 30, 60, 90, 120 days, whatever it's going to be. So I need to shift my own mindset instead of saying, you know what, Bernice, I'm not going to do that for you. Or, no, Bernice, that's not going to happen. You shift it to, you know what, Bernice, that's a fantastic thought, and let me see how I can make that happen for you. My team is on it. I'll get back to you either later tonight or early tomorrow morning, and we'll have an idea in response to what your thought pattern was. If they tell you that they're going to take all of your money and leave you with no commissions, okay, good time to say no. But if they are going to, if they're going to,
yes, say no to that.
Or I cannot do that part, but.
No, I know. I choose not to represent you. Not to work with you. It's not that I can't. I choose not to.
I choose not to. But in all other
Stand up, nice meeting you, and away.
And bye-bye. Like, I have clients right now, and it's a very tricky deals. And when my client calls me and goes, hey, I need blah, 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 blah. I don't say, well, I'm not going to do that for you. I say, you know what? Great point. Thanks for the heads up. I'm on it. I'll get back with you. And it diffuses the situation. It doesn't build up animosity. It allows your client to feel in control, because again, you're leading them, but they're still controlling stuff. And it's a very symbiotic relationship. Bernice, you talked about the quote from the Ritz-Carlton. My father, Terry McDaniel, if you guys don't know who he is, literally had that printed on the bottom of our documents that we would give to them in the listing presentation right in the beginning, right up front. He had a quote from Mother Teresa, and he would have a quote. He had the Ritz-Carlton, "We are, ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen. Here's the CMA." And people felt respected, they felt heard, they felt honored. It was a different vibe in the room. So I dig what you're talking about.
Well, and I believe that's such a great takeaway. Let's go on to our sixth of our 7 words, and this is the word should. And in our society, we should each other to death. If you start, I like to, when the things we talked about when I was doing my coach training was going on a should diet. Just listen to how people use should. Listen to when you use it, and should is almost always used for manipulation. You're trying to manipulate someone else into doing something, or I'm saying I should go on a diet. I'm trying to make myself guilty as a way to getting myself to take action. And should just doesn't work. It makes you feel guilty, but I can tell you should lose weight, but if you're not willing to take action, all the shoulds in the world aren't going to make any difference. So Greg, how does this show up in your business in terms of should?
It's something that when you and I were prepping for this, and I literally stopped and I really thought about it. And you're right, I do should all over myself. And it's like I should go running this morning, right? I should do that. I should make my calls. I should follow up with that. Why don't you just take action? Why don't you just say, I'm not gonna, I should do this. Why don't you say, I did do it. I am doing it. It is done. Change
or I
your
choose
version.
not to do it.
Or I choose not to do it. I choose not to walk across hot coals on a fire. Okay. But I did my calls. I did my social media. I'm doing my emails, right? I'm doing lead follow-up. It's not like I should do it. I mean, what is that going to pay? How is that going to pay you in any aspect of life? How are you going to pay you in weight loss? How's it going to pay you in better diet? How's it going to pay you in income? How's it going to pay you in a better relationship? If you should buy my wife some flowers this weekend, I should do, help my husband do this. No, man. Just say, you know what? This is going to happen, and it's going to happen now. Or, you know what? I've already done it. It's taken care of. Let's do the next thing.
I choose not to do it.
You keep going back to choosing not to do things.
Well, it's really powerful to say, I have a choice. And one of my favorite negotiation phrases is it's your choice. What would you like to do? It's a powerful, powerful phrase. Okay. To our final word, try. And so Greg, if I tell you, I'll try to have the CMA to you by 5 o'clock this afternoon, and I don't deliver it, what my client heard is that I will have it by 5 o'clock. They didn't hear try. In fact, when I was teaching critical thinking, one of the textbooks I was using for the course classified the word try as a weasel word.
Weasel word.
A weasel word's great. It's like, save up to 40% at the sale. Well, maybe one or two items are up to 40%. Everything else is 5 to 10% or something. So, I mean, it's a way to kind of hedge your bet. Mm-hmm. But what you do when, you need to be very definite about what you're going to do. And if you're giving them a time that you're going to have it done by, you need to deliver them because otherwise you have overpromised and underdelivered. So the way that you get around that is if I believe that I can get the CMA done by 5 o'clock this afternoon, well, what I'm going to tell my client, is it okay for me to have this to you by 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon? Will that work for you? They say, yes, great. And then you deliver it by 5 this afternoon or tomorrow morning. You look really competent because you didn't come in at the deadline. You came in before the deadline by quite a bit. That's how you have a successful business and build successful relationships, by promising less than you can do, and then delivering on more. That's when people get the wow experience. Now, Greg, what about your take on this?
So try is something that I talked to a coach of mine many years ago, and I told him I was going to try to do something, and he said, hold up. I'm like, what? He's like, I want you to stand up. I want you to try to stand up. I'm like, what? He's like, I want you to try to stand up. So I stood up. He's like, so did you do it or did you try? And that really hit me between the eyes. And I'm like, it's just another thing that's distracting me when I can just take action and doing stuff. And so what you're talking about, Bernice, is give definites. As long as you can back it up, right? Don't say, hey, I'm going to get this to you in 2 minutes. And then you're still sitting at the table. Say, you know what? based upon my schedule today, I will have this to you by 3 p.m. and then get it to them by 2:30. It's, again, I think everything that we're trying to get across here to folks, and again, I just use the word try. What we are getting across to everybody in this video is, in this article, is the fact that be more definite in your actions, be more definite in your thoughts, and be more definite in your verbiage. Once you understand being definite in everything in life, all of a sudden, this world is not so difficult. Once you just step forward, like Brian Tracy's book, Eat That Frog. Just do the nasty, ugly thing first. Get it out of the way. Keep moving. Don't try to eat the frog. Don't see how many recipes you can cook with it. Just eat it. Do it. Get done with it.
Never heard it put that way before. See how many recipes. So to wrap up for today, here's the bottom line, everybody. When it comes to using these 7 words, it makes no difference which one you start with. Choose one of them, work on eliminating that word, and then go to the next one. And every one of them that you can eliminate, the more powerful it's going to be. And listen when other people use these words and watch the results. That's when you really drive this home. And I see that especially with the word should. So, for me, that's a great one to start with, but I'm not going to tell you it's something that you should do. Thanks for being with us today. See you next time.